Hello, I'm Luxakana, and you guys will not believe how long this build took me. I'm not kidding you, I started this in May. It's been 6 months. To be fair, I've been building on this on and off because I had other projects, but still, this build took me about 6 months on and off to complete, and I do not want to see like my project files for this because wow, editing this video was basically just me begging my computer not to crash and burn because it's a big project, like seriously. And I actually rendered this one twice. The first time I rendered it, I literally just rendered like the what's it called? The visuals, because when I was having this in my project, I was like, okay, not that bad. Now let's try and make a voiceover, and my PC was like, nope. Just nope. So I rendered it, and now I'm doing the voiceover in a separate project, and now my PC is apparently okay with it because it already rendered the visuals, so it doesn't have to basically live render it again, because this is highly speed up. You don't even want to know. You do not even want to know. And I've also cut out a bunch of it, because if I hadn't, and I would have just used all the footage I had with the normal speed I do, it would have been about 2 to 3 hour long video. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is the first cut you see. I already started to do the floor plan in big parts, and I already started to work on the upstairs a little bit, and now I'm basically just trying to clean up downstairs because I wanted this house to be as accurate as possible, which turns out is really hard because there's like 3 or 4 different versions of the Addams family home actually. I try to make it as accurate as possible as I can in The Sims, but to be fair, that's a task and a half. Like seriously, it's really difficult. Now you see a big cut, and I cut out everything from the upstairs because the problem is there's like 5 different versions of the upstairs from the Addams family home, and I needed, like, if I would have just put that in, the video would have been already 1 hour more because I really struggled getting just the shape to work. I would still do a lot of the inside and, you know, still do a lot of the outside, and you see what I did here. It's been a real struggle to build this one. If like anyone ever wants to have like the complete 2 hour to 3 hour footage of this highly speed up with no voiceover, just tell me in the comments. I'm down to release that one. I'm just warning you, it's seriously long, and it's just a lot of me making a floor plan, doing something, and then deleting it again because this is one giant house. Like the Addams family home, it's not a home, it's a goddamn mansion. And I mean that. Their home is giant, both from the inside and from the outside. And this is a 64 by 64 lot. This is the biggest we can get in The Sims 4. And I still feel like it's too small. I think that like the house itself is okay, but especially landscaping wise, I would have loved to do even more. I would have loved to include like this giant graveyard that they have. Especially like in the newer versions where you can often see them in the giant graveyard, even talking about deceased family members and stuff like that. I would have loved to include that here, but I just did not have the space. And apparently there's also like a pretty big swamp around their house, but I couldn't really put it anywhere in the Sims world with a big swamp because, you know, I really needed a 64 by 64 lot for this one. So that was that. I also tried to bring in a little bit more color into it because the original Addams family home was actually bright pink, and, you know, it looked like Pippi Lotta Victualia, Eva Lotta Rogadinas, Efraids Tochters Langstrumpfs giant house that was just sprinkled with colors, because the original Addams family was shot in black and white. So if you do a lot of different colors, it's just different shades of black and white when you film it. So that's basically why the original Addams family home was very colorful. So I tried to capture at least a little bit of the color in the garden, put a lot of roses because, you know, Morticia. And I also tried to put the occasional pop of color everywhere. Not too much though. It's definitely mainly a creepy big build and not, you know, something wild and colorful. But yeah. Also, you see, I'm redoing the downstairs once again. And this is basically what I've been doing for the better part of this build. Just building something, thinking, oh yeah, this is good. Keep building something else and then realizing, oh damn, that's not how it's supposed to look. I need like a half tile wall here, and I need a half tile wall here, and nothing adds up. And well, let me just get it as close as possible. And then I'm building on like another part of the house, and then I'm like, oh, I have to go back and like change 50% of the build again, because, you know, there's another half tile that doesn't line up, so I have to change it all again. Yeah. This build was a lot of just fiddling, and you can see it here with the roof. I had to do like this special kind of roofing to somehow make it work on that big part at the back. And that was another thing that was very strange, because I used 2 different floor plans to reference here, because one of them didn't show like the iconic front properly. I don't know why. And the other part did not show anything of the back, basically. So I kind of had to really wing it with those 2 floor plans. And you can see I just had to like fiddle with the roof to somehow make it work. I think in the end, the roofing is my favorite part of this, and I think the shell turned out pretty good. Like, it does look like the reference pictures that I had. But I really would have wished that I had like more and, you know, better references, because it was pretty hard to just get this together. And if you would like to build this yourself, I'm warning you, if you have a budget PC, it will crash, burn, and kill you. I mean that. My PC is like, I'd say my PC is pretty decent, and my PC almost came to life and wanted to kill me when I built this. Mainly, I think, because of the basement, which you will see soon. So when you download this and your PC can't run it for some reason, delete the basement. Now you see another little cut. I cut out a bunch of the landscaping, because this was pond tool, and I really wanted to put a lot of ponds in here. And when I'm now putting in the ponds, I'm basically just redoing the entire landscaping, so you didn't really miss something. And also, for some reason, the game deleted my like floor paint, like I think 3 times in between builds. To be fair though, I built this in between like all the updates. When I started, we didn't have cottage living yet, so it's a lot, you know. And now with the pond update, I was really confident that I could finish this build, because this is not the first time I've built the Addams family home. This is actually the 3rd time I tried to build the Addams family home, and it's the first time I actually completed it. The first time I tried to, we didn't even have the platform update. And, you know, they have this split-leveled living room, and a lot of their house is very split-leveled, you know? You have no idea how painful that was without having platforms. I actually gave up once I started furnishing, because I tried to, you know, do the split leveling without having platforms, and that just screwed everything up. And I basically gave up on that try. But yeah, the next try I did was, I think, before the window up. Was it before the window update? I knew I did one before the window update, and I gave up as soon as I had to put in windows, because I just couldn't put them where I needed them to be. But I don't know which one of them was first. Was it the platforms or was it the window update? I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is how the landscaping basically turned out. It's all, you know, very dark, but also a little bit swampy. And I tried to, you know, put in some like darker stone to make it a bit more like match the vibe of the mansion and everything. And I put a bunch of windows everywhere. I tried to follow the reference picture I had with the windows, but at some points I actually had to just wing it, because again, some of the reference pictures didn't have the front, some didn't have the back, and the floor plan was no help either. So I just kind of had to look where it would make sense most with the floor plan that I ended up going with. And yeah, that's how it turned out. Especially like when I was trying to get the top to work, like the iconic top. Oh boy, that was a problem and a half. Like, seriously. It was so hard to get that to work, because it's on a diagonal. And building on a diagonal in The Sims 4, I don't want to call it torture, but it's close. It's something very close. I did it in the end, and I think the tower looks probably as good as you can get in The Sims 4 without doing mods, like, custom content, because I did use Tool for this one. And it was really important for me to put in that I have the 4 different colored trash cans, because recycling, people, recycling. Yeah, I could not cut that one out, not for the life of me. I'm sorry. But yeah, now you can actually see me landscape. I told you it's a giant build, and I did a lot of landscaping. I think the landscaping alone was like 2 or 3 hours. I don't remember. Like when I started I really wondered, because I was starting to run out of space on my computer pretty fast when I started building this. I was like, why? And then I looked at my videos and project files. I was like, oh, that's why. It's the Addams family home build that is so ginormous that it's just taking up literally all my computer space. I'm not kidding. And yeah, I hope you appreciate this enormous build, because it is probably, I don't think it's my Magnus opus, but it's definitely Magnus. That's probably one of the most giant builds I ever do. Also, item count wise, because it actually lagged out my computer when I tried to playtest it. It didn't lag out too badly. I think if you have a really good PC, I think it's possible to play with this home, with the Addams family. I tried it. It is possible. It's just painful, and your computer will need about 10 minutes to save every time, which is also painful, but it's possible. You basically get a laptop experience on a high-end level computer, which is rare for Sims builds. This build also costs about 1 million simoleons, so I don't know, some people do 1 million simoleon builds as a special. I just do it for Halloween. I just like Halloween, I'm sorry. It's creepy and I love it. But yeah, it's a giant build, and be careful when you download it. I think that the part that contributes most to the item count and to the, lagginess is the basement. You will see why. Because in the floor plan, it said pretty clearly that the Addams family home has a giant dungeon downstairs. It didn't show the giant dungeon in the floor plan, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to make a giant dungeon and see how it turns out. The computer did not like it at all. I think I've never had my computer hate me so much for creating something in The Sims, because I was like, okay, I'm just making it one giant room so it will be easy to delete in case someone has performance issues, because it was already not too great when I started building the basement, and I'm pretty sure the basement killed it. I dug the grave and then the basement just killed the build for me. But yeah, the basement is basically one giant room. I recommend to delete it if you have performance issues. Be careful when you go downstairs into the basement. Everything should work. It's playtested. Your Sims will go through it, no problem. Just be careful, because your frame rate might drop. I'm not kidding you. It actually might drop. So yeah, I'm now starting on more of the inside layout. I did the downstairs floor plan already. I don't know if I put in the upstairs floor plan, because that was one hell to do too. Because as I said, I did 2 reference pictures. Basically, one reference picture was more like a plan for the outside, which was really, really cool, because it had the 2 sides that it showed you. It showed you a front and then a really, really pretty shot from the back, which I think I both incorporated pretty well. At least it works well in The Sims, as well as possible. And yeah, I'm quite happy how that one turned out, the outside definitely. But then I had for the inside, I had, I think, a different sources floor plan, and the floor plan looked most realistically to what it is in the show. The only problem was, for some reason, the iconic front piece was completely missing in the floor plan, and I just had to basically add a room there, and I didn't know what to do. The funny thing was, the upstairs part of the floor plan, it did have that iconic part in the front, but not downstairs, which is still confusing me, and I don't really know what to make of it, but that's what I made of it in The Sims. I also had some really nice glitches in this one. at one point the game would not like me for some reason to close rooms anymore, and I had to reload the entire lot, which was amazing, and I still don't know how it happened, but okay. And at another point my entire foundation decided to just not exist anymore, which was also amazing, and I had to redo the entire foundation and everything I did with it, including platforms. Also amazing. I cut that out, you betcha, because that was just really, really long and unnecessary. I also think that especially the part where like Gomez's study is, especially this part, I think in The Sims 4 I did not 100% correctly, because I think there would be a ton of half tiles there, for the sole reason that there should actually be a dining room there too, and I could not make one fit. Also, technically it would have been on a diagonal again, but putting it on a diagonal there did not work. It would have been like not quite a 45 angle diagonal. It would have been like a different diagonal, and you cannot do that in The Sims 4. So that's another problem that I ran into, especially for that side of the build. But yeah, I'm now starting to build the iconic living room, which actually it worked out better than I expected. We actually have like this giant boho couch, not chair but couch, that actually looks like Morticia's like chair that she has, and we have like the iconic vampires chair that everyone thinks flat when they see it, but it just works perfectly for Gomez's chair, and it's just like we do have a lot of the stuff that we need to build this house. It's just that it's just the shell that is the big problem. Like, furnishing this was actually a lot of fun. I could do a lot of creative things. For example, when I did the 2 greenhouses they have, yes, it's actually 2. I was surprised by that too. I just had so much fun. I could actually put in spoilers for Strangerville, the mother plant, spoilers for Strangerville, and which acted perfectly as like Morticia's plant best friend that she has in the show, and it even moves and everything. So it's really, really nice. It is kind of really accurate in some points, especially like in the living room area and stuff like that. But then you come to parts where I'm trying to make their iconic giant turtle, and it's like, why do we not have a turtle in this game? You know? Like, where the turtles at, man? I don't even know if I kept the turtle in the end. I just wanted to include it in the speed build because I just don't know how else to make a turtle in this game, and this was my best try. I hope you like it. But yeah, I was really lucky to have the paranormal pack, because it helped me so much decorating this one and just putting stuff everywhere. And seriously, the paranormal stuff pack might just be the perfect pack to build for the Addams family. Besides vampires and Realm of Magic, of course. And at this part, I don't really know what to say about it. I was just like, okay, it's technically a show, and I have this huge space that I have no goddamn clue what to do with it, because there's literally no shot of this ever. So I was just like, okay, that's just where the film crew is held captive. It does sound like something the Addams family would do, to be fair. It's just I do not have a clue what to put there. There's literally no picture of it. I don't know what they have there. For all I know, it could actually be just that giant cage, and yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. That was my best guess. I think it's kind of funny, and I actually had a disappearing turtle for a long time, so I really don't know if the turtle made it into the last rendition of the game. If it doesn't, remind me of it, and I will put the turtle there, and like put another like thing on the build saying that this is the build with the turtle. Those who know will know. And yeah, what can I say except I really like how the living room turned out. The other bizarre things they have on their walls. I really wish we had more of that in The Sims 4. And like, they actually have this bear statue. We don't have a bear statue, so this beaver thing had to do. And they actually have like a bear head rug. We don't really have that, but we had teddy bears, so there's a bear sticking out of the floor. Deal with it. Your Sims will walk around it perfectly, no problem. Again, I play tested the build. You can play in it, you just need a good PC, and again, you can completely play the Addams Family home storylines and everything. You just have to remember you need a good computer and maybe delete the basement. So yeah, in the hallway, I don't know, at the end of the hallway where the iconic part of the outside is, I just put a closet, basically, like a giant closet. So when you come into the Addams Family home, there's actually somewhere where they can store like your shoes and everything, and that was just my best guess to put there, because again, it wasn't in the floor plan for some reason. I'm also really sorry if my voice is like starting to crack and everything. I've been sick for the better part of this week, and I really want to upload this on Halloween. I've been building this since May. A little cold will not stop me uploading this. You betcha. Also, if you think that this build is like really, really long and why did I make the speed build so long? How could I? Well, it's because this is just the most giant build I ever did, and this is the shortest I could get it without making it like just a mess, like a complete mess. Like now you can actually see what I'm doing, where I'm placing stuff, and that I'm now working on like the servants' quarters, and you can actually see what I'm doing, you know. You can see all the nice and creepy stuff, because, spoiler alert, I did not include screenshots at the end of this, mainly because this build has been long enough as it is, and the other reason is because, again, this build has been lagging my computer out when I'm in live mode playing it. And boy, oh boy, it's not worth it, I think. If you want to see this build for yourself, download it on the gallery, or, I don't know, pause the video at certain points so you can look at whatever you wanted to see. But I'm not doing screenshots for this one. It's just, this build just broke me. It just completely broke me. Also, of course, because it's the Addams Family, they have like a torture chamber, and I tried to even do an Iron Maiden and everything. I think it turned out pretty cool. It was definitely cool to tool it around and everything. And by the way, if you randomly hear meowing and murping and stuff like that in the background, that's Athena. She's been very vocal today. Sorry. So yeah, that's the Iron Maiden that I'm building right now. It's, I think, try number 2 or try number 3. The first thing I tried to do didn't really look like an Iron Maiden. It more looked like a coffin. The second thing I was trying to do, Athena has 5 minutes, was similar to this one, but it didn't quite work out, and it kept disappearing, and I didn't want to put on the non-disappearing function of Better Build By, because it can, lead to some real problems when you build. So I tried it again with like these shelves, and that worked, which I'm really happy about. And I found this one debug object that looked perfectly like spikes, and with the black like shelves with the white spikes, it really looks like an Iron Maiden. And it does look quite scary, I think. I tried to put multiple of these things so it actually looks like it has like a proper grid thing. And I actually like, you can see that I'm scrolling through debug and I'm just trying to get some just things that I think would work for my torture chamber here. And this is the thing that I ended up doing. I tried to just line them up, but they actually like stuck to the shelf. So I started to line them up on the grid and then just tool them there. I know, but it worked out in the end, and I think it looked pretty cool. I think I'm definitely the most happy with how the Iron Maiden looked in the end, just because it's just really creepy. The second thing that I think is my favorite about the torture chamber would probably be the stretch bench that I did. I am not too fond of the chair I did, because we don't really have like proper chains that you can like put there to make it look like people would be like held captive there. It more looks like, if it was like a chair with like something on it. It doesn't really look like it's a creepy, like a creepy torture chair. It just looks like a chair. But then again, it's a Sims 4, so you can't really go too dark. I think. I think the Iron Maiden is probably the darkest you could go in the Sims 4, and the stretch bench is probably the second darkest. But only if you know what a stretch bench is, so I guess that's fine. And again, the chair's probably my least favorite, just because I just couldn't figure out how to make it creepier. I didn't really find anything in like debug and stuff that could make it creepier. Like I used like I think those are rulers as like chain replacements, and I think that's like just not it. I'm not so happy with that one, but it was the best I could do, and I built this since May, and if that's the best I can do for something, it's probably the best I can do for something. I'm pretty happy with all the torture utensils I found though, because in debug you have all the stuff that your Sims use to do, for example, woodworking. So you have all the woodworking stuff to torture someone with, technically. And yeah, now moving on to probably my second favorite creation, Mortimer, Gomez train set. And I'm really happy with that one. I took a bunch of debug objects and I just, like with tool, I made them tiny. And yeah, now you can see me assemble all of that. It took me quite a while to do that too, but I think the end result is pretty cool for like a little train set in Sims 4. We don't really have something like that. It would be pretty cool to have that, but we can kind of make it with debug objects, which I think is okay. And yeah, that's what I did. I can still remember what I was hearing when I started building this, because this was about the point where I started to listen to Dune. Like not the movie, but the book. And there's like an audiobook on YouTube, and I started listening to it, and this was where Paul met the Bene Gesserit mother for the first time, where he had the challenge, and he made it in the end, but almost. And that was I still remember like everything from the audiobook, because I was building this and I was just intensely listening to the audiobook because I was going crazy putting all these like planks there. By the way, at the end of this build, remember, we're pretty far in already. I'm already finishing. At the end of this build, I finished the first part of the audiobook, which is 8 hours, and I'm now in the middle of the second audiobook, which is also 8 hours. So, yeah, you probably know how long this whole thing took me. And again, a lot of this was just me trying to do something, trying to make an object that doesn't exist in The Sims 4, and then just basically deleting it and doing it all over again, because it just didn't work out at all. And yeah, as I said, Mortimer, why do I keep saying Mortimer? Gomez's study is probably too small, but again, I had to make the train room that big. And again, there should also be a dining room in that area, but again, I would need to get, the ability to place different diagonal walls for that. Instead of a dining room, I then just put this little seating area here, and in the floor plan, it actually just said that next to that was a dark hallway, so I basically did nothing with that hallway. But now moving on to the bedrooms. This is Wednesday's bedroom, and I think it's one of my favorite kids' bedrooms that I ever did, because it's just so creepy and I love it. I'm sorry. I just put everything creepy for kids that I could find. I put the Dahlia dolls everywhere. I even put the tent in there just because. And I put some creepy stuff in the tent and everything. And she even got a seance table. A girl's never too young for her own seance table. And I'm really happy with how her room turned out. And I basically gave her parents the same bed, because I thought, why not? Like, I really like how like the curtains complement the new, I think it's cottage living bed. I think it just looks really, really cool. I just placed some wards around it and then placed the curtains and then deleted the wards again. And I think it's just a very cool effect. And if you then put some columns there, it really looks like it's, meant to be like that. It's functional, by the way. I play tested it. Don't worry. You can do that in your game too. And for the parents' bedroom, they are actually canonically into BDSM. So, I put some more torture stuff up in their bedroom and, just some chains everywhere. They're canonically into it, I just can't do anything about it. And Festus' bedroom is actually next to them, and there's actually one movie where he mentions that he loves to listen to them. Make with that information what you want. So, I put Festus' bed actually like against the wall that is next to their room, just because it is canonically like that. It actually is, and it actually was like that in the floor plan too. Like the floor plan actually kind of show where some of the beds were, and the Addams family home actually has a lot of bedrooms. It actually has like a bedroom for cousin It, for I think it's Morticia's sister, that's called Dahlia Frump, and there's like a separate bedroom for her husband, and then they have a guest bedroom downstairs. They have 2 servant rooms. We're already at like 6 bedrooms. Then they, of course, have their own master bedroom. 1 bedroom for Wednesday, 1 bedroom for Pugsley. And then they actually have a 10th bedroom in the, what's it called? In the little shack outside, which is like grandma's shack and her bedroom. So there's already 10 bedrooms in this build, which is more than the Sims 4 would allow me to put on the gallery. So the build is labeled as 9 bedrooms, although it's 10. And you could probably even sleep more Sims in here because there are some double beds in here. So I don't know, you can probably sleep like 18 Sims in this build. Like this build really is gigantic, and it lives up to its expectation, I say. In Festus' bedroom, I also did some of those torture devices. I actually copied the stretch bench and put it there too, because at some point he mentions that he loves that thing, so he probably has this one in his bedroom too, or at least I imagine that. And yeah, for the bedroom of like the extended family and stuff, I didn't do too much decorating. I did just like some, I would say, generic creepy stuff in their bedroom. I didn't really personalize it too much. And yeah, if you would like to personalize it more, your choice. Just know that the item count's probably already at the limit, so be careful. And then apparently they also have like a seating room in all of this mess, which also could be transformed into a bedroom with a few simple clicks. And I just kept it as a seating room because at this point I was on bedroom number 7 and I was, kind of sick of bedrooms at that point. I did a lot of like cleaning up the build and redoing a lot of stuff in like this past week for the build, mainly because I had some new ideas after I didn't do a lot of this build in September. So like in October I did a lot more on this build. I think we're already in the October recordings too, because I think Pugsley's room I actually did last. I know that I swapped his room in the like actual recordings, so it's when I do the other bedrooms too that you can see where I'm doing Pugsley's room. And Pugsley's room I do like too, but I honestly like Wednesday's room more. I kind of tried to do Pugsley's room a little bit more like scientifically, and like he's like more mad scientist-esque, while Wednesday is more the creepy dogger. But I put both aspects of it there because both of them like to play with each other, so they probably would be doing both at some point. But yeah, the build is kind of coming to an end. I'm doing the last 3 bedrooms. You will see me do a bit of like the upstairs where I just cluttered the insides of their stuff there. They actually have like what's it called, a thing where they can put money into. My English left the chat, I'm sorry. And they actually have a guillotine, because canonically they have a guillotine up there. So make with that information what you will. The Addams family does have a guillotine. Is the Addams family rich? Yes. Do they live in a mansion? Yes. Why do I have a guillotine? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I also put some coffins up there, And I thought it would be funny to just use the coffins as like coffee tables. I think it's a nice addition to it, so yeah. And then I basically just did the last room up here, and then it's time for the basement, which you will not see everything of, but I give you like a rough idea of what the basement turned out to be, because I basically just built a hallway, like a really, really long hallway, and wow, yeah, I then started to copy and paste the cell room, and that was when my computer really started to hate me. But yeah, this is where I built the guillotine. I just put some puppet heads in there because for some reason in debug there are actually puppet heads. I put some more torture stuff up there, and I used some canvases to simulate like the guillotine thing, and I actually put like a knife up there that clips through the painting, so you know you actually have your guillotine knife and everything. At first I tried to do this one object that like the makeup object, but it didn't work out, unfortunately, so I think I used a jungle adventure knife, but don't quote me on that one because it's already been a while and I've built a lot on that day. So I don't really remember which knife I used. I just know that I used a knife. I think it was the machete. I just stood it up there and just made it a lot bigger, and until it kind of fitted, and it looked like there was a blade sticking out of that thing that would, you know, fall down and kill someone, because that's how guillotines work. And I also put like some like restrainers, or I would like to call them like that, because, you know, I would think that, you know, what if you would kill someone, you wouldn't want them to move. And yeah, now we're at the iconic basement. Again, I would recommend you to delete this if you have performance issues, because it's a giant, basically just one giant room. I think the rooms, like the little cell rooms, actually count as their own rooms, but I'm not sure. There's also like a ladder up to the chapel that I excluded here, because the chapel was a little bit of work too, because I actually redid it like twice because I was uncertain how to do it. I didn't want it to be too religious, because I don't think that like their grandma was like religious, because, you know, they're not even sure if it's actually their grandma. So yeah, that's the cell room. It's just quite simple. It just has some bones and some chains in there, and some cracks on the wall. And I also did like these skeletons, which I think are pretty cool. And I put them everywhere throughout the dungeon, which was still apparently okay for my computer, just putting this one by one thing everywhere. But once I started to copy that, you know your build is on the limit of what the game can do when your game needs about 1.5 minutes to put a room somewhere. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in whichever video stream or whatever you will watch next. Bye!